pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
Road course racing was on the menu last week at the Charlotte Roval. This time around, however, we come to an oval track that races like a road course. It is the Pocono Raceway for the Tricky Triangle by Team Superior. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, as always, my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, great race last week. I watched it on replay. I wasn't there live for it, but a fantastic race. Jesper Eriksson dominating last week. He's up at the top of the pylon again today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been some great racing. You know, every time we brought these cars out, they put on an amazing show at every track. I'm going to expect nothing different here tonight, other than the fact that we've got technically either one more turn or one less turn than we're used to, and I'm not sure how I want to go after that.
Oh, absolutely. As 3 corners here at Pocono tonight, 3 very distinctive corners. Again, like I said, this place races like it is a road course. 3 very different corners, 3 very different braking points, and 3 very different ways to negotiate each one of these corners. And it's usually the road course ringers who are very quick around here because of that.
It is, and you know, when they designed this track back in the 70s, they took 3 staples of American auto racing at the time, three of the most historic tracks to exist at the time and took a corner from each of them. Turn 1 is based on the now defunct Flemington Speedway in Flemington, New Jersey. Turn 2 is based on Indianapolis. Turn 3 is based on the Milwaukee Mile. I don't think those three tracks could have come together any better than what you've got here in the beautiful Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania.
Yep, absolutely. And looking at the point standings coming into today's race, Jesper Eriksson, we mentioned at the top of the pylon last week. He's quickest in practice so far. Back up at the top in the point standings, now up by 16 points over Jonas Gunnarsson, Linus Broström there as well. Michael Haflidason, Daniel Solo, your top 5 in the points. Points are still moving around quite a bit as we inch closer and closer to the playoffs.
We do with that, and it's going to get even closer. With the level of competition that is in these fields week in and week out for the Svenska eRacingligan, whether it be on the road side or on the cup side, I mean, these are some of the races that I know I'm sure you can attest to this as well. These are the days I look most forward to out of the week is Thursdays, simply because we get to see some of the, from the top to the bottom of the field, the highest skill levels that we're going to see anywhere in iRacing.
Yep, absolutely. And those skill levels have been put to the test not just with each other, but in the team championship as well, as we'll take a look at that. Alcantech has had a stranglehold over this championship, not just with the Neiman Racing team, which is gone in a way right now, but also with the Almatech team. However, that has been challenged over recent weeks as Forza Esports Academy has now jumped into that second position in the team points. Forza Esports, the main team, not that far behind, nipping at the Almatech heels.
And they are. You know that both of those teams right now are shooting to get the top 2 steps of the team standings podiums. Whether it be, 2 of Forza Esports or 2 Alcantech teams, they both want to say, hey, as a group, we had a close rivalry, but we had the better team.
No, absolutely. As we are now getting set to go here for the qualifying session here today for 87 laps here at the Pocono Raceway. Stage break will be at lap 35, which from what we're hearing is just outside of the pit window for these guys. So we will be seeing pit stops in stage number 1 as we have a lot of drivers jumping out on track right now. The first of which is going to be Eric Blixt in a brand new paint scheme, Tony, that you have a lot more to say about.
That is the entire Alcantech team has decided to redo the Volvos that they've been running, and they're paying tribute to the old BTCC British Touring Car Championships cars that were run in the late 80s, early 90s. As a matter of fact, the one that we're watching right now, Blix, I believe, is based on a Volvo wagon that won the championship.
So, throwbacks all the way around for the Alcantech team as Blix makes his way off of turn number 3, there it was, to,
read the outside wall, Frank.
Yeah, to begin that's what got me, actually. To begin his qualifying run, as Blixt is the first one and the farthest along. A couple of guys close. Sebastian Broberg not that far away from him on track, nor is Jochen Wett, Jonas Skoglund as well. Oscar Fredriksson rather close to where this number 95 is at the moment. As these are long qualifying laps here, just long laps here in general, and with a 5-minute timer for qualifying, you really cannot mess around here. If you want to get the time in, if you make a mistake, you're pretty much relegated to just 1 lap.
That's exactly it. Even with, getting all your laps in, I mean, you're looking at a 54-second flying lap as Jesper Eriksson jumps to the top of the pile. that it's going to take you 5 minutes to get through all 3 laps, the out lap and then the 2 fires.
Henrik
Oy.
Lindhoff having a very, very good lap as well on that number 8. Tony Oivinen fastest of all on the second half of the lap. So solid run for him. As we'll take a look at Sebastian Broberg, who has caught the wall. Broberg done. Peter Helmbro at the end of his first lap going 4th quickest. We'll see what Jesper Eriksson can do. Coming to the line.
He may have gotten into the wall coming off of 1. Yep, negates the lap.
Eric Blixt up to 2nd quickest. Henrik Lindhoff having a very, very good run. 3rd quickest as we see Peter Helmbro on track right now. Helmbro relegated to 5th fastest at the moment. Jesper Eriksson, the only driver to break that 54-second barrier to 53.94. Helmbro slower on his 2nd lap. Jonas Gunnarsson with a 53.99 going P2.
Good grief. Yeah, they're packing them tight in there at the top of this field.
Certainly are. Here's Marcus Hagman.
Hagman only went 20th quick on his first attempt.
54.37. Alexander Arildson on his 2nd lap, jumping up to 19th quickest in the number 24. Only Hagman and Solander are on their 2nd lap at the moment, as Hagman crossing the line, 21st, all the way up to 5th. A very good jump for that number 12.
Yeah, Marcus has had some pretty good success here in other series that we've covered.
And Solander, a good jump as well, up to 14th after his first lap was negated. So after all but one driver lays down a time, Daniel Holmer, the only one not laying down the time, it will be Jesper Eriksson, picking up right where he left off at the Roval last week, starting on pole.
And we are going into the heat race, Frank.
Yes, we are. Off to the sprint race we go. Alexander Arildson with a time of 54.340. Good enough to get him pole for the sprint race, with Haflidason Johansson starting on the outside of the front row. Kenneth Tier and Stefan Wang will make up row number 2, with Jonas Skoglund and Johan Larsson in row number 3. Anton Ehrman and Connie Lundell make up row 4. Kim Nyholm and Linus Broström in row number 5. Row 6 goes to Jonas Forrest and Marcus Stiller. Martin Liesnich and Daniel Holmer rounding out the 14 drivers that will participate here in this sprint race. And that is probably one of the biggest surprises that you'll see. Linus Broström, 3rd place in points, winner of the opening round at Daytona this year, 10th for the sprint race.
I'm seeing a lot of names that we normally see running up front in the feature races that are deep in this thing right now, deep into this heat race. You mentioned Linus Broström. Kim Nyholm is starting 9th. Dan Holmer starting shotgun on the field in 14th. Martin Liesnik, he's usually running, top 10 in the features. This track will drive you absolutely out of your mind if you let it.
See Kenneth Tier on screen right now. New sponsor for a new team, I should say, for Kenneth Tier, has joined Bright Esports. So congratulations to Tier. Was an independent for quite some time. And now on the Bright Esports team, as we are getting set to go for the sprint race here tonight.
The way it was explained to me with Tier was, welcome to the dark side, we have cookies.
There it is. whatever works, I guess.
Sure. And it looks like we do have the full field here for the sprint race.
That we do. A couple of the Team Superior cars sponsoring tonight's event. 3 of them, as a matter of fact. Anton Ehrmann, Connie Lundell, as well as Marcus Stiller. As we roll off and get set to go for our first bit of racing action here tonight at Pocono Raceway. And again, the highest that the race winner can start will be the 21st position. So Alexander Arilton qualifying in 21st for the race will now have to try to defend that position if he wants to start where he qualified. But a lot of guys having a chance to move forward. It's a lot like what we're going to see with the duels later on tonight, not just in the real world, but with Sunday Night NASCAR as well.
It is. That's how they're going to be setting the field for Sunday's 500 race. One thing to note about this heat race, though, Frank, 8 laps or 8 minutes. That's it.
That means 1 caution, and it's going to time.
Right.
Because with about 54 seconds to get around here, there's really no room for error with the 8 minutes as we get set to round turn number 3 and get this sprint race underway. Pace truck is about to duck on off. There it goes, and here we go, getting set for 8 laps here, the sprint race from Pocono. We are green.
We are green. A lot of side-by-side action. Everybody minding their P's and Q's right now as Eriksson jumps up in front of Johansson. That's going to open the door for Tier to get to his inside going into 1. Tier full send it up into 2nd place.
Absolutely, is Kenneth Tier. Kenneth Tier solidly in that 2nd position. A lot of guys running side by side. Anton Ehrmann's already picked up a spot. Jonas Forss up 3 spots already through the first quarter and looking for more on the inside of Johan Larsson. Makes the pass. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Anton Ehrmann still under Stefan Wang.
Wang and Ehrmann still going side by side. Nyholm just hanging back there a little bit. They're side by side in front of him as well.
Big wiggle. Big wiggle by Anton Ehrmann, and that will be, that'll be the end of Ehrmann's race. He'll be starting from last. But because,
we stay green, though.
Yep, because it was off the racing line, we stay green. Jonas Skoglund battling with Haflidason Johansson.
It's one of the weird things about the iRacing algorithm is you never know when it's actually going to throw a caution when things go sideways like that. No pun intended.
Take a look back and see what happened there with that incident. As watch Ehrmann on the inside. Boy, he caught that rumble strip down there and he lost it. Got hit by a couple different guys.
Linus Broström was one of them.
Yep, I believe Kim Nyholm was the other. So getting back to the race at hand, that incident has really spread these cars out. As
your top 4 still within striking distance of each other, but the 5th on back are starting to fade.
Alexander Arilton leading, but right now Jonas Skoglund, fastest car on track, ran a 54.21 last time around.
It's a solid lapper on this joint.
Absolutely. Unfortunately having an issue with the timing and scoring there. A couple of names overlapping as Arilton now coming under some fire from Jonas Skoglund.
Skoglund's starting to put some pressure on Arilton as here we go, Indy Snake time.
I'm trying to break that draft. Is Alexander Arilton, both Skoglund and Tier following. Haflidason Johansson sitting comfortably in the 4th spot.
Well, he doesn't have any pressure from behind, so he doesn't really have to do that shenanigan.
Absolutely not.
Skoglund almost getting to the wall coming off of one, though.
And it does kind of help to not do that, because while they're adding time and adding distance to their lap, keep it straight, you actually catch up a little bit if you're Haflidason Johansson.
And Skoglund went even quicker there the last time by with a 54.11.
Full 10 faster. So Skoglund showing some pace here, at least some race pace. As we see in the background there, that is Johan Larsson and Jonas Forss going at it. Forss on the inside, Skoglund on the... Oh, Larsson, watch out! Oh, hard hit for Johan Larsson.
That'll smart your eyes.
Boy, and that was Forss trying to get back in line. And unfortunately just swung in right into the door, or right into the corner. Oh my goodness, that's a hard hit.
Well, there's our first, thank God this is a simulator moment of the night. Even if that was a safer barrier, that's still a hard hit.
Yeah, that's still
reminiscent of Jeff Gordon back in, I believe it was the second Pocono race in 01.
Jonas Skoglund coming down pit road. Gave up what was the 4th spot. Now coming down to pit.
Well, the good news is if you do pit under green here, you've got a better than average shot of not going a lap down.
Be interested to see, because here's Stefan Wong getting around Skoglund. Skoglund's just really slow. What in the world happened to him?
Something must have happened. If we can go back.
Yeah, this is Kenneth Tier getting around him. Skoglund just pulls over. Pulls over, lets Tier by. Then lets Johansson go by.
Strange.
Certainly showed some pace, as now here comes Stefan Wong and Kim Nyholm battling with Kenneth Tier. And the only thing I can think of is he hit the wall coming off of, and now Kenneth Tier is falling away.
Something's not right.
Jump on board. He's under his own power.
I mean, the car sounds okay.
Unless this is Tier saying he wants to start in the back. I don't know what else this could be. Same with Skoglund.
Well, the good news is if you do start in the back, you're less likely to get involved in something that'll pop up in turn 1, lap 1, which it's been a lot of people's history at this track that turn 1, lap 1 is Calamity Corner.
So Rildson now 2.5 seconds clear of the rest of the field.
He's just using this as his test session to see what he can do for lap times on his own.
And at this point, he's gained another 0.5 second. So whatever's been going on, it has not affected Alexander Rildson, who will come across the line to win the sprint race here tonight. But that sprint race raised a lot more questions than answers.
Well, yeah. I color me perplexed.
I think we're all currently in that shade. As we'll try to. No, we're not going to be able to. As Jonas Skoglund was ahead, he did not get lapped, so he will be completing this final lap. And it looks like he might be completing it on pit road. He will be. So, I mean, that's Skoglund and Tier both giving up some pretty quality starting positions. To start from the back as we take a look now at the starting grid here for tonight's race, Jesper Eriksson with a time of a 53.948. Qualifying on the pole with Jonas Gunnarsson lining up to the outside of row number 1. Eric Blix and Henrik Lindhoff making up row number 2. Marcus Hagman and Tony Oivinen in row 3. Peter Helmbro and Philip Broberg in row number 4. Anton Bratberg and Sebastian Broberg in row number 5. I feel like I'm saying the same name 20 times. Oscar Fredriksson and Jochen Wett will make up row number 6. Row 7 will see Philip Carlin and Andre Solander. Row 8 will go to Henrik Lundberg and Dennis Scherp. Daniel Solo and Robert Erling will make up row 9 with Bjorn Brostrom and Michael Haflidason rounding out the top half of the field in row number 10.
Alex O'Reilson and Haflida Johansson going to roll it from row number 11. Row 12 is going to go to Stephen Wong and Kim Nylon. Row number 13 is going to go to Linus Brostrom and Martin Liesnik, with Marcus Stiller and Jonas Fors in row number 14. Row 15 is going to see Dan Holmer and Kami Lundell, with Ken Tier and Anton Oman in row number 16. Row 17, and starting shotgun on the field is going to be Jonas Skoglund and Johan Larsen. So 34 cars scheduled to roll it here this evening. A couple of things to be mindful of. 87 laps of scheduled distance. Stage break will happen at lap 35. 85% fuel fill, 5 total sets of tires to get it done with. And Frank, with about an 85% fuel fill, we're looking, I dare say, 22, 23-ish laps is all we're going to see out of a tank to go fast tonight.
It could be a little bit more here tonight if guys are sitting in the draft. Weather conditions here for today's race. We are just past 4:30 p.m. in sim time. 28-degree ambient temperature, 35-degree track temperature. Hot, slick racetrack here at Pocono. A flat track for all to enjoy as we get set to begin this, I believe, the penultimate round before we get into the playoffs here for the Svenska eRacingligan. It has been a fun but a long season so far. Tony, with Talladega, the cutoff race looming next week, it's time for these guys to get around another big track.
It absolutely is, but right now it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab a whoopie pie because it's time to get it on in the Pocono Mountains. Race fans, it's show time!
As you're accustomed to seeing here at Pocono, cars fanning out on the front straightaway, 4 wide towards the back of the field, but Jesper Eriksson up at the front, leading them away. The 2 Alcantech cars, Eric Blixt and Jonas Fors, swapping spots in the top 3. A couple of guys wiggling. I believe it was the 81 of Michael Haflidason, somehow keeping it straight.
That's the one thing we've seen time and time again. 3 wide is never a good idea, though.
Boy, oh boy.
Going through the tunnel turn 3 wide is, and there it goes.
Eric Lundberg, more cars getting involved in it. A lot of the Bright Esports cars, and that will be the first caution. Linus Brostrom involved. Antoine Herman stopped. Dennis Scherp stopped. Boy, we
like
saw it happen.
4 from For's Esports, 4 from Team Superior, and 4 from Bright Esports just all got into it.
And that's the problem, though, with starting in the back. If that was the plan from Skoglund and from Tier, that's the downside of it. Of starting in the back. We'll take a look and see what happened as this started with Eric Lundberg battling side by side with one of the Bright Esports cars. It's the 53. Contact there, contact even more, and then into the wall.
Good grief.
See Dennis Sherp's perspective here.
Oy.
Jochen Wet there, Stefan Wong. More cars getting pushed through. Kim Nyholm, Jonas Fors. Taflidi Johansson stopped down there with Sebastian Broberg in the 53. And that's interesting to see because Broberg had a fairly decent start to this race. A decent starting position, started in the top 10.
Yeah, but he got taken 3 wide early and backed out of it and ended up back in the melee.
So on board with Broberg here.
Oy.
It's one hit after another. It's just they keep on coming. See Linus Brostrom's perspective of this. Sees it happening, starts to fade down the track, but unfortunately, as what happens here sometimes, the wreck tends to find you.
Jeepers.
Take a look back at Haflidason Johansson with our gyro cam tonight. Almost clear, and then Broberg starts wandering back down. So a pretty good amount of guys involved in that incident to open up this race.
And this is one of the series that we do broadcast that does not have any fast repairs.
Yep, so guys like Haflidason Johansson, Sebastian Broberg, Eric Lundberg, Dennis Sherp, Stefan Wong, Linus Brostrom, Jochen Wet, all going to have very, very long days ahead of them here tonight.
Good grief.
As Jesper Eriksson continues his impeccable form from last week. Now, that 37 led every lap, took the pole, fastest lap, won the stage, won the race. Grand Slam +1 for Jesper Eriksson last time out. And the new championship points leader, as it sits, en route to, well, attempting his 4th race win of the season.
But, I mean, let's take a look where we were 2 weeks ago when we last saw the Cup cars. It was Charlotte Roval.
Yep.
You know, a road course. And what is Pocono? What is Pocono? It races like a road course, even though it's technically an oval. Matter of fact, the longest front straightaway of any closed course track in North America.
That was, I mean, yesterday was, or last time out, I should say, was Eriksson's first road course win. He won at Kansas at the second race of the season and then won on the dirt at Bristol. Those were his only other 2 wins for Eriksson. So it's not like he's been a road course ringer.
Well, the Bristol race got taken away from him.
No, it got taken away from Blixt.
Oh, that's right, yeah. That's right.
And then it didn't seem to matter because Blixt then won the very next week in Atlanta to take that win. Eric Blixt finds himself on the outside of row number 1. A lot of Force cars up here at the front, followed by the lead Team Superior car right now would be that 111 of Anton Bradberg. Once again, thank you to Team Superior for sponsoring tonight's race. We will be keeping a special eye out on where those drivers are for a majority of the night. Green flag getting set to come back out. There it is. We're off and running again here at Pocono.
Yeah, for the first time tonight, we're going to see a Volvo making a bid for the lead. Two of them, actually, as Blix and Gunnarsson going door to door, going into one.
Gunnarsson coming home on the podium last week at the Charlotte Roval. He will take over that second spot now. As these guys a lot less aggressive coming out of turn one here on this lap. As boy, Daniel Solo really getting pinched by Anton Bradberg, and already Alexander Eriksson working his way up. He's almost into the top 10 right now, running in 13th.
Trying to make some headway right now is your biggest mover currently is Anton Alman with plus 14, currently sitting back there in 18th as he's going after it with Stiller and Haflidason.
Make it plus 15 now as Indy Snake beginning already. The top 6 cars participating in that. Jonas Gunnarsson, fastest lap of the race here on the here at about as early as you could possibly get for that.
A lot of jockeying going on right now, and this is the time you're going to see it, is on these restarts. You know, we're only a lap after green. Oy.
On board with Alexander Eriksson. Anton Bradberg right in front of him. This is for the 12th position, which you're riding on board here. To the inside he goes. You can just barely see behind the standings. We'll move it now. Look at that very bottom left corner. How much his hands are having to work here just to keep this car under him. Try to get it to go as fast as possible. Already sawing at that wheel just on corner entry.
Well, that's the thing about turn one here is it's the most banked out of any of the corners. So you kind of have to set the car up. You're usually giving something up going into one so you can get it back in 2 and 3. You know, you ask any driver worth their salt, and they'll tell you, give me a car that'll drag race to the line. I'll give you turn one, but I'm going to get you coming to the line.
He gave up passing the 111 in turn one to pass him in turn two. As 3 Team Superior cars, Anton Bradberg, Philip Carlin, Anton Ehrman, all right there. Michael Haflidason now breaking up the party. As Haflidason starting to work his way forward, up 5 from his 20th place starting spot. Just made the cut to not have to run in the sprint race earlier on. And as you had mentioned, Anton Ehrman just behind him, plus 16 already here in this race.
That's impressive. I mean, straight up, that is impressive. You know, and the fact that these guys, they got the shakes out of their way. They learned from the mistakes that happened during the sprint race. They learned from the mistake that happened on lap 1. Everybody's kind of calmed down a little bit so far as they realize we still have almost 80 laps left in this piece.
Marcus Hagman getting pressured from behind by Andre Solander in the 140. Solander a part of that Alcantech team running those classic British Touring Car Championship liveries all night long.
And that's a Saab.
Yes, it is.
As opposed to the Volvos, that's... I was wondering when we were going to see a Saab make its appearance here.
Alexander Eriksson trying to make his way around Philip Broberg in the 117. Couldn't get it done. There's the 13 of Daniel Solo.
Behind them, one of the Team Superior cars got into the wall coming off of 2. I think
it was either Ehrman or Carlin, one of the two.
I think it was Carlin, because he's the one that is now the trail car.
Battle for 10th is what you're seeing on screen right now. Arildsson now leading the group, with Daniel Solo trying to push him along down the back straightaway. Anton Bratberg there as well, all trying to get around the 117 of Philip Broberg. Solo not quite able to make it. This racetrack has gotten harder and harder with each passing update that comes along. This place has gotten harder and harder to make up any ground on the inside line.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that, you know, they did rescan this track when a couple seasons ago, or a couple years ago now, and with the latest tire model, you and I were talking about this yesterday, something's different since the latest update to this car.
Anton Bratberg very, very close to the nose of Michael Haflidason. As there goes Anton Ehrmann in the 42. He'll get around, so boy, don't you just love that if you're Michael Haflidason? You make a pass on two cars to lose a spot.
How often do you see that on a super speedway?
Sure.
You know, you've got the run, you've got the head of steam, and nobody goes with you. I
can tell you after yesterday, I'm about done with super speedways on iRacing for a little while, as there goes another.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm positive. It's another Team Superior car towards the back, catching the wall. I believe it might have been Marcus Stiller in the 013. There he is, running between two teammates. Connie Lundell in the 91, Dennis Scherp in the 48. Scherp a part of that first lap incident, as was Stefan Long, as was Eric Lundberg, as was Linus Broström. And you can see the 18 and the 71 still carrying the battle scars on the right front from that incident.
Of the 34 cars that did take the green, we've only got one retirement to speak of so far, and that's Hakan Wet, deciding to just not get the car fixed and just put it on the hauler early. And Sebastian Broberg is the only car not on the lead lap currently.
5 laps down at the moment is that number 53. As Solo leading this little pack of 6 rather. Anton Ehrmann still holding on over Michael Haflidason. Philip Broberg now side by side with Philip Carlin, as Carlin will get the spot coming out of turn number 1. Little kiss of the wall down the back straightaway, or Long Pond straightaway, I should say. Now trying to get back in. Yep, good.
That tunnel turn. There's a reason why we call it the tunnel turn, folks, because there's a tunnel that leads to the infield for the haulers and the campers and everything to get access to the infield without having to go across the racing surface. And there is a nasty bump there, and you really don't ever want to be too wide through there. And we saw 3 wide on the opening lap, which is why everything really popped off on the exit too, because you might be able to do it going into the corner, but you're definitely not going to want to attempt 3 wide coming off the corner.
Yeah, not typically the best way to do it, as Henrik Lindhoff still holding a solid top 5 position, running in 4th. The top 4 drivers have not swapped positions at all. Eriksson, Gunnarsson, Blixt, and Lindhoff are all running right now where they started. Henrik Lindhoff making just his 3rd start of the season. Ran the opening 2 rounds of the year at Daytona and Phoenix, and finished 38th at Daytona, 30th at Phoenix. Not that bad a return right now for this number 8.
I actually got a solid run going right now. You know, he doesn't really have a lot of pressure from behind. It's Oscar Fredrickson, the 112. That's one of his Force Racing teammates. And, you know, we joke about it all the time, but the only team rule that those guys actually do have is don't kill each other. But very strong run so far in the early goings of this, as I dare say we're a little past halfway in this fuel run.
I would say so. Even with the pit stop, Lindhoff running for the main Forza Esports team, and going back to when his last start was before this series runs, because this series runs, I should say, every 2 weeks. The last time we saw him run was back on November 10th. That was that Phoenix race. It was not the first 2 races, I should say. It was Daytona, which was way back on September 1st. And then it was about 2 months before we saw him run again. And it's been about 3 months since we've seen that number 8 on track. As Michael Haflidason now still dueling it out with Anton Bratberg, now making the pass through the tunnel turn. That was for 12th.
We got the 2 Alcantech cars leading the 3-team superior Toyotas. And I kind of got to give the advantage right now to the Alcantech team with those Ford-powered Volvos. You know, they've got a solid run going here. But getting back to those team superior Toyotas, Anton Aumann still plus 18. That's impressive. At a place as difficult to pass as this.
He's been running very, very well, as we see Johan Larsson in the number 57, as well as Robert Erling in the 82, getting around the 117 of Philip Broberg. And again, after that hard hit to the end of the pit wall just inside of turn 1 that Johan Larsson took during the sprint race, starting in last. Larsson finding himself up in the 19th position.
Second biggest mover of the night, kid sitting plus 15. Looking to get some further work forward, but I mean, you know, Frank, I'm looking through this field right now, and there's some names we're not used to seeing this deep in a pack.
Absolutely. As Linus Broström again caught up in that first lap incident, had to participate in the sprint race for the first time this season. Towards the back, Kenneth Tier, we've seen him have very good runs up towards the front, was running in second during the sprint race before giving that up, as well as Jonas Skoglund, who also was running in second during the sprint race before packing it in.
Dan Holmer's usually fast in, you know, on the ovals, struggling here tonight. But you know, field's starting to get a little bit of separation. You know, this is where you're figuring out what you've got under the hood. And it looks like we've got a battle for 7th and 8th starting to heat, or sorry, 8th and 9th starting to heat up.
We do, as Andre Solander trying to defend from the sprint race winner, Alexander Arilton. Another guy we're not used to seeing having to participate in the sprint race. As Arilton looking to the inside, going through the tunnel turn, and this is where you really start to see who has managed to save their tires a little bit versus who has been running them off. Because tire wear right now is certainly going to be the big issue, as Andre Solander has a big bit of connection issues there, causing quite the shower of wall.
I'm trying to figure out what just got sent onto the track with that netcode issue, but that's not normal.
No. I can't remember seeing that, especially in qualifying last night for the Daytona 500, which congratulations not only to Alex Bowman, but Hendrick Motorsports as well, once again capturing the Daytona 500 pole, capturing the Daytona 500 front row, as a matter of fact, with Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson, 1 and 2.
They might have something for these boys this year.
Yes, sir, absolutely. As looking all the ready to pit road, Marcus Hagman and Alexander Rilton both coming down, both having a little bit of braking issues, but getting it woed up. So those are our first two pitters, Hagman and Arilton.
It's right about where we said we were probably going to see it, 20 to 25.
Jonas Gunnarsson and Eric Blixt both now starting to back up into those 2-4 eSports cars as Lindhoff looking to the inside of Blixt. That for the third spot. Lindhoff just can't quite get the run on the inside. Now going to try to use that inside line here in turn number 3 to try to get around him, and cannot do it as Jesper Eriksson pits from the race lead.
And he was calling that early to make sure everybody knew that he was coming pit side this time, so he didn't get run over from behind, which is very easy to do here.
So that will hand the lead of the race over to Jonas Gunnarsson. And now this 5-car battle that was a moment ago, a battle for second, is now the battle for the race lead.
Throw a blanket over your top 5 right now. Is Gunnarsson, Blixt, Lindhoff, Fredriksson, Neuvenen, all right there within striking distance of each other. The biggest question is who of these 5 is going to flinch first and bring it down pit side?
2 Alcantech cars versus 2 Force Esports cars versus 1 Tony Oivinen. And Oivinen is going to blink. Yep, Oivinen's going to go down pit road.
He waited till the last possible second to call that too.
No real pressure from behind either, so didn't have to call it. Did Oivinen. It's not like he was in the middle of that pack, as the caution's going to come out. It's like the 90.
Connie Lundell.
Yep, the 91 of Connie Lundell around on the front straightaway. Possibly an issue getting onto pit road for the 91. Instead of making assumptions, we'll take a look and see what happened. As Lundell coming off of turn 3. It's like he got turned by the 57 of Johan Larsson.
May or may not have had help on that one.
Take a look and see what happened here. From Larsson's perspective.
Yep.
Got a really good run. And just wasn't able to hold off in time. As that will now bring the rest of the field down pit road here this next time. And what we'll do is we'll step away, take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching the Svenska eRacingligan Tricky Triangle by Team Superior here at Pocono Raceway, the second to last round before we hit playoff action for the Svenska eRacingligan. We'll be back right after this.
Behöver du en bil? Mobi hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mobi hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
About to go back to green flag racing here at the Tricky Triangle by Team Superior Pocono Raceway, the second to last round before the playoffs begins, as Jonas Gunnarsson and the entirety of the top 10 not coming down pit road. As a matter of fact, the entirety of the top 13 not coming down pit road under our second caution of the night. Green flag back in the air. Gunnarsson getting right out in front of Eric Blixt.
Blixt and Gunnarsson looking to work with each other here, especially in the early going, and they've got the numbers on that outside lane right now, as long as they can keep them lined out. But Force Esports has three drivers on stem to stern up in that mix, in the form of Lindroth, Helmsbro, and Fredrickson.
Alcatech making up 3 of the first 4 spots right now as Daniel Solo has snuck his way up here in the number 13. Michael Haflidason there as well in that number 81, wiggling right on past Peter Helmbro. Now sits his sights on Henrik Lindhoff for the 5th position. Helmbro not giving it up around the outside of turn 3, though.
Definitely not. And, you know, with everybody bunched back up like this, and you've got guys on different tire strategies, this is going to get very interesting the next couple of laps here. And so far, nobody that's put fresh tires on. Just as I say that, Jesper Eriksson's making a liar out of me as he's starting to claw his way back up towards the front.
Eriksson came down to pit on lap 21, so he came out well before the caution. He came in well before the caution on lap 24. So that 37, trying to win back-to-back stages and just making a line for himself on that outside, got really held up there by behind the 8 of Henrik Lindhoff. Now Michael Haflidason looking to try to make a move on Eriksson, but Eriksson with that superior grip right around the outside.
They're almost 3 wide coming through 3, and that's oh!
Somebody got sent way down to the inside. Jonas Forss spinning down the front straightaway, and that will be a caution.
Looks like Anton Elman, Jonas Forss, and Kim Nyholm.
There's Nyholm. We saw Jonas Forss sliding down the front straightaway. There's Forss. Doesn't appear to be any damage on that 78. You'd mentioned Anton Ehrman. There he is in the 42, just in front of him. So we'll see what brought out the 3rd caution of the night. On board with Forss.
First one we saw go for a ride.
There's Forss going around. There's where Nyholm gets involved in it. See it from above. Forss with, that's Martin Liesnich. The 42 of Ehrman goes to the inside.
Hey.
Nyholm takes a hard hit, nose first.
It was bad, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Absolutely not. Especially with the inside wall around here having the safer barrier, the outside doesn't. This will,
on the front stretch, yeah.
Yes. This will not be the stage break. We're still about 5 laps away from that. Again, stage break at lap 35. So we will rack them up, complete a couple of laps, and then go under caution again for the stage break. As we thank all of you who are joining us, not just on Twitch, but on YouTube as well. I know we had an issue with our YouTube streaming last week. Back on it to begin this week, and where we hope to be for the remainder of the season. The Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series will be in action later tonight. Tony and Matt Metler will be in the booth for that as they run their dual races.
And I'll tell you, I'm as much as I'm impressed by these guys, I was impressed by what I saw at the Coliseum the last time we saw the SNN guys race a couple weeks ago. I thought it was going to be a crash fest. It really wasn't. It was actually a good, solid race.
We also have 2 races tomorrow, possibly 3. I believe the Midday Racing League starts up tomorrow. Should be around a noon Eastern time start. I know we definitely have the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series season finale at Daytona tomorrow night, as well as the Monsters.
With that one, Chris Worrell, James Lowe, Michael Anthony, and yeah, damn it, I almost had it.
It's all good. As we'll also have the Monsters of Speed New Gen Cup Series, round number 2. Round number 3 of their season from the Milwaukee Mile tomorrow night as well.
Ed DeBoer, that's the 4th name I was forgetting.
There you go.
And DeBoer won to get his way in, or else he wasn't going to the championship 4.
So Midday will be starting tomorrow. I just saw confirmation.
Yes. Yep.
So Midday, Circle B, and Monsters of Speed tomorrow night. Saturday will be the Dynasty Racing League, as well as possibly a trip around Sebring with with SRM Racing for the Michelin Pilot Series. Then Sunday, not only the big race on television, but also the big race for Sunday Night NASCAR, as well as the vast Super Late Model Series. And
those guys are running their snowball derby at Five Flags.
Yes, absolutely.
So 2 big races coming up Sunday, just here on Sim Racing Media.
So we still have a ton going on here over the course of this week. So we are getting set to go back to green flag action again. Only a couple laps before the stage break will come in. Stage break will be at the completion of lap 35, so it's effectively a green-white checker to see who's going to take the stage.
Place your bets.
Absolutely.
Going to be one of those 3 Ford-powered Volvos, or one of the 4 Z-Sport Chevys going to do it?
It's 3 Alcantech cars versus 5 Ford Z-Sports cars right now.
And then look what's behind those 5 Ford Z-Sports cars.
Another 2 Alcantech cars. So Alcantech,
right.
Alcantech and 4s bringing up the entirety of the top 10 at the moment, as they have done a vast majority of this season. As Jonas Gunnarsson will lead them down, getting set to go back to green flag racing here at Pocono. Green, white, checkered before the stage. Green flag back in the air.
Gunnarsson wastes no time going to the top shelf to pick up flicks, pinches Fredrickson into the wall by his own teammate. That's not good.
Also keeping Daniel Solo, pardon me, on the outside as well. I'm sure Solo doesn't mind being out there trying to block off Jesper Eriksson. Eriksson on the bottom behind that 112 of Fredrickson. Solo trying to keep Peter Helmbro at bay. 3 wide to the bottom.
Oh, no. This is cringeworthy, folks.
Eriksson gets through on those fresh tires, though, and now he's got free range.
Next flag ends the stage.
Free range at the 33 and the 95, both trying to break the draft.
pit lane is officially closed.
Memory serves me correctly, it'll be the end of lap 35, so we still have 2 to go here before the stage. I was wrong. A green-white checker would have been it. My apologies. As there goes Eriksson around the outside of both of them going into turn 1.
It may have taken him about 15 laps to do it, but he finally got back to the front as Eriksson on the pressure shoes. Matter of fact, the precious tires in the top 5 right now, as his teammate Marcus Hagman does move into 5th back there. So Hagman looking to make a bid for it.
Hagman came into pit on lap 20, pardon me, fresh tires for that number 12, so it could be a Forza Esports 1-2 here for the stage. Ooh, big slap of the wall. I believe that was Daniel Solo in the 13.
Yes, it was. Tried to take the wall with him.
Final lap before the end of the stage, as now here comes Marcus Hagman. Trying to get both of these guys. He'll get Eric Blixt for sure. Trying now to put the pressure on Jonas Gunnarsson.
Well, he doesn't have Blix cleared yet, as Blix has got the draft from Gunnarsson.
Oh, around goes Andre Solander in the back.
That's it.
Caution is out. That will be the stage. Jesper Eriksson, just as he did at Charlotte last week, will take the stage.
Jesper Eriksson, Jonas Gunnarsson, Eric Blixt, Marcus Hagman, Oscar Fredriksson, Peter Helmbro, Daniel Solo, Tony Oivonen, Henrik Lindhoff, and Philip Carlin rounding out your points gatherers for stage 1.
Before we go to break, we'll take a look and see what happened here with Andre Solander trying to fend off the 81 of Michael Haflidason, and Haflidason, boy, it looked like Haflidason just faded up into him. A couple of really hard hits to the back of that 140.
Definitely make your eyes smart, that's for sure.
So we'll see what happened on board the 81 of Haflidason. Starts sliding up. Yeah, just kept slowly inching up. Into that door of the 140. So we'll take a quick break. Again, we'll be right back. Jesper Eriksson, your stage winner here at Pocono.
Behöver du en bil? Mobi hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mobi hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Svenska eRacingligan Tricky Triangle by Team Superior underway here at Pocono Raceway, just off the stage break. Tony Oivinen, Johan Larsson, Jonas Forss, Eric Lundberg, and Kim Nyholm all deciding not to pit during the stage break, leaving Tony Oivinen out in front with the race lead. Eriksson, the stage winner, stuck in the middle of a pack.
Eriksson stuck in the middle, but Johan Larsson and Jonas Forss starting to make some headway as here comes Eriksson to the inside of one of those Volvos. And that's Gunnarsson to his outside.
And Gunnarsson and Blix both beat that 37 out of pit road. So even after taking home the stage win, Eriksson was not the first car on fresh tires as Johan Larsson gets shuffled way up and away to the outside. Still fanning out down the long straightaway here at Pocono.
It's both beautiful and terrifying to watch them do that.
because you know what they funnel into. Jonas Gunnarsson out in front, first of the drivers on the fresh tires. Tony Oivinen currently leading the race. Very good run so far being built up by Tony Oivinen. As a matter of fact, for Oivinen, who comes into this race 25th in points, has only led 8 laps this season. You have to go all the way back to Atlanta to find when the 84 was last out in front. All 8 of those laps led were at Atlanta.
I can't say that anymore as he's about to press the crest into the double digits, and he's got a good run going. Jesus. Whole Indy snake thing is as far down the track as these cars go when they do that Indy snake to try to break the draft. It just, I cringe knowing that these guys have to get back up in the line to make turn 1.
Philip Carlin right now, the highest running Team Superior car on track right now, into number 22, running in 8th position. Holding the sprint race winner, Alexander Arildson at bay in the number 24. Not that far behind in 14th position, you find this little trio here, Anton Bradberg, Marcus Stiller, Dennis Scherp. The next 3 Team Superior cars. And then you just saw them fighting in the background there. That's Anton Ehrman, the next of the Team Superior cars in the number 42, running in 20th.
He has his hands filled with Connie Lundell and those 2 Volvos of Alcantech to the inside.
13 of Daniel Solo, Michael Haflidason in the 81. Running in 21st and 22nd after Solo was quite close to the front at the end of the stage. Up a little bit further, Peter Helmbro looking to the inside of Kim Nyholm. The 58 did not pit under this stage break. Helmbro did, looking to take over that 12th position, and does.
You can see a little bit of bodywork damage on the 58 of Nyholm. Again, he was one of the people involved in that caution back on lap 24. But did get some damage repaired. Not too shabby. Rebounded, currently running 13th, but looks to claw his way a little bit further forward. But right now, this battle at the front, it's a powder keg waiting to go off.
Still Tony Oivinen out in front. Last came into pit on lap 22. Jonas Forss last came into pit on lap 30. Running in second, Eric Lundberg, who last came into pit on lap 31 and was caught up in that first lap incident coming out of turn 2, holding off drivers that came down pit road under the stage break. So tires not meeting much. It's all about track position and which line you have to defend the upcoming attack.
And that's something these guys are really going to have to be mindful of. Especially in the later goings. Yeah, you might throw a block on somebody now. It's going to be a completely different ball game. on lap 80.
Jesper Eriksson looking to the inside of Eric Blixt for position. That moves the 37 up into 5th position. And I think there'd be a lot more. Gunnarsson's not really putting the 18 under too much pressure. I think there would be a lot more, a sense of urgency, a lot greater sense of urgency from the 33, the 37, and the 95 if the leader was getting away. But because the leader is still right directly in front of them, it's allowing these guys to take a breath and just try to save tires and ride at the moment. As Jonas Forss now getting passed up by the 18 of Eric Lundberg. And now the 33 of Gunnarsson takes his spot. Boy, picked his moment perfectly.
He set that up for a couple laps prior before he made it stick. As, unfortunately right now, as we mentioned, Jonas Forss got shuffled out and just freight trained as everybody's just piling past him right now.
I'll tell you what, that Street Trends number 18, though, holding steady on that outside line. And because of that, Jesper Eriksson trying to push him along on that high line, trying to get around the two Alcantech cars, even though the 18 has less fuel, less of a tire advantage than the 33. That move is going to get Jesper Eriksson up in front of the Alcantech cars, at least nosed out in front of them, and pushes that Street Trends car back into the 2nd spot.
He does, as Tony Oivonen drops down to try to break the draft. The only problem he's got is Eriksson is shoving the daylights out of Lundberg right now, and they're still coming.
13 cars up here in this front pack. Philip Carlin, your highest running of the team's superior cars, running in 10th. Antoine Brodberg in 13th at the back end of this group. And now here comes Jesper Eriksson for the race lead on Tony Oivonen.
And they're almost 3 wide behind him. As Eriksson may have gone too low, as now
Oivonen got the lap.
And Lundberg.
Oivonen may have... Good.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oivonen led the lap, but it's going to be Eriksson with the deep dive on fresher tires, getting back out to the front of this field. Looking to the inside, Marcus Hagman to the bottom of Jonas Forss. Peter Helmbro trying to follow him through, as is now Philip Carlin. And Will.
Lindhoff almost getting into 4s, coming out of 2. Able to get by, though, is now the 24 of Arilton up into 2nd, trying to claw his way even further forward. He's got to get to Eriksson soon, because right now Eriksson has the fresh air, has the clean air, and he doesn't have to worry about anybody right now with about 5 car length separation between himself and Arilton.
Alexander Arilton trying to do a season first. We have not had a driver win the sprint race and win the overall race in one day.
Oh my God, you're right.
Arilton running in 2nd, still with 40 laps to go. But certainly looking at one of the better chances that we have seen all season long. Jonas Gunnarsson has gotten into 3rd. However, Eric Blixt running in 5th in a dogfight with Tony Oivonen right now.
Blixt is really starting to lay it on right now, as he wants to get up there. He wants to get in this mix. He hasn't had a season that he's willing to... You don't really want to hang your hat on the season that he's had so far. He's had some ups and downs, but he definitely wants to turn it around here at Pocono. Like, as you mentioned, we're inside 40 to go. These guys can make it on one more stop.
Absolutely. Most of them can. Tony Oivonen.
Well, that might be a stretch to get him there. But
Oivinen's going to be a stretch because, again, Oivonen came into pit 14 laps sooner than everybody else. came into pit under the second caution of the race, or just as the second caution came out, and did not pit during the stage break.
He's coming
because
now.
of that, yep, he's going to come in right now. So Oivinen's top 5 run, at least for the moment, is done. Caution for that number 84 would be very, very welcomed right now, I'm sure, because we've gotten deep enough into this run where everyone who's out on tires right now is going to be coming in.
Well, they're going to be coming in the next 10 laps or so.
Well,
But,
if a caution were to come out, they would be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, if that did happen, yeah.
Riding on board.
Jesper Eriksson, Alexander Rilson, Jonas Gunnarsson, Eric Flicks, Oscar Fredrickson, your top 5 right now. We're riding on board with Gunnarsson looking back at Flicks right now. And that is, yes, folks, that is a Ford-powered Volvo.
Off to the front of Eric Blitz's number 95. Getting a very good look at that rear diffuser on the back of that number 33. Rear diffuser that has not stayed the same, at least in iRacing. That diffuser is a lot lower than where it was when this car first came out, as Peter Helmbro looks to the inside of Oscar Fredrickson for 5th. And Helmbro will get the spot, the winner back at Homestead, moving up into the top 5.
As you do. But, those Alcantech cars running 3rd and 4th, and you've got those Forza Esports cars right behind them and leading the race. So, still a lot of racing left to do here tonight, Frank, and it's still anybody's race. I mean, it's way too early to put a stamp on it saying, yep, you got to go through this guy to get it. No, not tonight.
Helmbro, the winner at Nashville, pardon me, as that was a big move for Helmbro. He and Fredrickson only separated by 1 point in the championship. Now, the cutoff, unlike the Cup Series, and like most of the leagues, is 16. For this series, it's the top 15 that get cut off, and right now, that battle, Jonas Fors coming into tonight just 4 points ahead of Kim Nyholm in the 58. Right now, Jonas Fors running. That being the apt word, he is running right now in the 12th position. Meanwhile, Kim Nyholm has been on pit road with his Lockhart teammate of Johan Larsson for the better part of 7 or 8 minutes now, as Fors really getting jumbled up here.
These guys are not playing nicely right now, as Lundberg and Solo and Haflidason all going after each other right now. Stiller and Solo running door to door. Here comes the Team Superior car.
The one person that Jonas Fors has to really concern himself with is Johan Brodberg. Coming into this race, 12 points off of Fors. Right now, Brodberg running in the 10th position with Fors in 14th. So that gap is certainly closing up. Kenneth Tier has not had the race that we thought he was going to have after the good run that he had during the sprint race. And then Vilda Whalen just off of the cutoff as well. Vilda Whalen not here tonight, nor will her Team Gaia teammate Emily Fegrell. She will not be here either. She will actually not be here for about a month or so with a broken wrist. So unfortunately, the 4 will not be participating for the next month or so.
Well, the person who's not going to be participating is Johan Larsson, who's decided to put it on the hauler.
Andre
Spending the
Solander.
last 12 minutes on pit road.
Andre Solander trying to get around Dennis Sherp in the 48, as these guys are really 3 wide. Contact there with the 82 of Robert Erling, putting Martin Liesnich almost into the wall coming out of turn 3. back of this field, boy, it is still very, very tight and close racing as there's the 016 of Liesnich, losing out now to Daniel Holmer in the 79.
He's going to have to tighten it up pretty quick because he's got Linus Brostrom all over his back bumper right now. And Brostrom's got to be careful because that's Kenneth Tier right behind him.
And Brostrom has not had a night to write home about. Has that number 71. Did not qualify for the race. Had to run in the sprint race where he finished 5th. And he has not done much better in this race. Has Linus Brostrom. His lowest finish of the season is 13th at Phoenix. This could definitely be a write-off for him.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, but this league doesn't do drop weeks, does it?
I believe they do. I'm not entirely sure, but this will certainly be it for Linus. It's not like he's in any danger as far as missing the playoffs. He's running in 3rd in points right now. Pretty well clear. Almost 150, almost 200 points clear of the cutoff, so Brostrom is fine. But still a very uncharacteristic race, especially with a wild card like Talladega coming up to be the last race before the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to, place all my chips in that basket. But, contact in the wall.
It was Liesnich and Kenneth Tier both catching the wall in the 016 and in the 49. So we'll look back up towards the front as Eric Blixt and Peter Helmbro battling side by side. This is for 4th. Boy, Blixt putting a big block on the inside.
Kind of had to, but he was also trying to get around a Rilton as a Rilton slammed the door on him. And it's kind of dominoes as far as that goes. As Eriksson, Gunnarsson, and a Rilton running 1, 2, 3 right now. A Rilton just biding his time, it looks like. Doesn't want to overtax the car, but they've got to be careful because Eriksson is starting to pull a gap on the trail pack here.
Yep. Jesper Eriksson out to a 1.5 second lead, and a group that was 13 has now dwindled to 6. One has gone ahead. The other 6 have fallen back by 3.5 seconds. As right now, your top 6 runners, Forz Esports, Alcantech, Forz, Alcantech, Forz, in the top 6 right now. Or in the top 7, I should say. Marcus Hagman is the first car in the next pairing, held up by Philip Carlin, or holding off Philip Carlin, I should say, in the lead Team Superior car tonight.
And Carlin not having a good time of it right now, but he's got a solid run going. And with as difficult as this place is to get around, as I'm sure you can attest to, and I know I've had my trials and tribulations here as well. I think that was Dan Solo just pegged the wall. Or no, that was Marcus Stiller.
This is the run of the season so far for Philip Carlin in the 22. Previous best finish was 15th at Daytona. And he just caught the wall hard there coming out of turn 1. His finishes this season, he has finished above 30th 4 times in 10 races this season.
He's on pace for a top 10 right now. And news from the pits, Frank, Kim Nyholm has decided to put it on the hauler for the evening.
So that will put Kim Nyholm pretty much in a must-win scenario going into Talladega next week if he wants to make the playoffs. Again, only the top 15 will make the playoffs here in the Svenska eRacingligan, not the top 16.
You're watching 2nd through 7th right there. As Jonas Gunnarsson, he sees Eriksson, but he doesn't have the help that he needs to get up to Eriksson. Now, they have cut a couple seconds out of that lead. It was north of 2.5 seconds just a couple laps ago. But right now Gunnarsson is driving as much out of his rearview mirror as he is out of the windshield.
You see the gap. It has closed by about 0.3 of a second over the last 2 laps. As Alexander Rilson's going to be coming in for what we would expect to be the final time. So Alexander
down puffs of smoke.
So Alexander Rilson. Eric Lundqvist also coming. Eric Lundberg, pardon me, also coming in. Jonas Fors down pit road as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the leaders respond. As boy, Gunnarsson must have had one heck of a lap because he's now, or pardon me, Eriksson must have had one heck of a lap because he just gained about 0.4 of a second that last time around. Yeah, almost a half a second. The 37 put on the rest of the field.
I think part of that had to do with the 24 going pit side. He let everybody know, and everybody kind of backed off him, which gave Eriksson just a shot to stretch a little.
Blixt coming off of turn 3 a little low, but not enough to come down pit road. Jesper Eriksson has opened up his lead to about 2 seconds, which to me can only signify that Eriksson is going to be coming in here soon. Use the last of the tires now, and then bring it in.
Just as well.
Get everything of the tires you can, and just to show you the fall off, Jesper Eriksson's best lap time, a 53.92. His last lap time, a 55.94. These guys are running 2 seconds slower than what they were on fresh tires.
Which makes perfect sense with as much as you've got to, use the brake and throttle to turn this car. It looks like leader's coming in this time.
Yep. Turn and burn for a couple laps and then bring it in. Eric Blix, Peter Helmbro, Henrik Lindhoff, Oscar Fredriksson all coming in as well. This will give the lead of the race to Jonas Gunnarsson.
The only one out of that lead group that stayed out.
Gunnarsson, Haflidason, Carlin, Solo, and Bratberg. Your top 3 right now, or top 5 I should say, is Gunnarsson now getting passed up by Stephen Wong and Jonas Forrest, 2 guys that came down to pit.
Forrest has been strong on fresh tires. It's just he's used them too aggressively.
Would have to assume Gunnarsson is going to be responding here. So he lets Stephen Wong go on the inside.
Yep, here he comes.
Gunnarsson wants to stay in this lead pack. Nope, he's going to go around another lap. So Gunnarsson effectively trying to work the overcut as Michael Haflidason and Dan Solo come in. Philip Carlin second, Bratberg, Stiller, Scherp, Ehrman. So right now, it may be an Alcantech car running in the race lead, but it is Team Superior 2 through 6 with Connie Lundell in P9.
Well,
that's one way to get all your cars in the top 10. Wait for the pit cycle.
And the thing about those Team Superior cars, they are the only Toyotas here tonight.
And again, thank you to Team Superior for sponsoring this race. Jonas Gunnarsson once again deciding to stay out, which this is doing nothing but hurt him right now. He's losing, as we had said, he's losing 2 seconds a lap to guys like Jesper Eriksson, Alexander Rilson right there as well. Rilson coming down 2 laps before Eriksson. And you can see the gap that Eriksson had over Rilson prior to the stops has gone completely away.
Well, this is going to be the good tell right here, because this is going to be the first actual flyer for Eriksson as he comes across the stripe now. That lap time, 54.38.
Compare that
to a 56.21 for Gunnarsson.
Yeah, that's almost 2 seconds slower. And Gunnarsson staying out again. So Gunnarsson really playing the overcut here, as Philip Carlin will come down pit road, as does Anton Bradberg. All of the Team Superior cars appear to be coming in, because there goes Scherp, there goes Ehrmann, there goes Stiller. Gunnarsson denies a Team Superior top 5 in their sponsored race.
Well done.
That was rude.
Well, he's still got to come down for his money stop.
Gunnarsson, Haflidason, Johansson, Bjorn Broström, Tony Oivonen, your top 4. Those 4 have not come down pit road. Oivonen came down pit road on lap 49. He is going to have to pit again. And Gunnarsson, now that's rude. Gunnarsson denies Team Superior a 1 through 5 in their home race. They all come into pit, and then the very next lap, he comes down. And what that will in turn do...
You gotta be kidding me.
And what that will in turn do is that will turn Bjorn Broström free to take the race lead.
Keep in mind, Bjorn was last down pit road on lap 36 as well.
Boy, I think Broström might be sputtering here. If not, he's certainly close. So we're on board with Bjorn Broström.
The good news, Frank. Of the green flag pit stops we just took witness to, nobody got popped for speeding on.
Well, there you go. Small victories everywhere.
Yep, we'll take him where we can get him.
Tony Oivonen has fallen to 3rd right now. Jesper Eriksson has just passed him. Eric Blixt has just gotten around Alexander Rildson for what would be the effective 3rd position. Effective 2nd, I should say, when Oivonen comes down pit road for his final stop. Bjorn Broström staying out another lap. And again, the time difference for Broström, 56.46 last time around for Broström, a 54.29 for Jesper Eriksson.
So 2.25 seconds.
Just about. So
incredible.
With that, we are down to 20 laps to go, 19. When Broström crosses the line, which he will do on the racetrack, we'll take our final break of the evening, and we'll bring you the conclusion of the Tricky Triangle by Team Superior here at Pocono Raceway.
Behöver du en bil? Mobi hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mobi hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig. Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
"13 laps to go, and Peter Helmbro just got a close-up that I'm sure he was not a fan of. As Helmbro going around in turn 3 brings out caution number 4 of the night as we ride with him. Ooh, him and Gunnarsson. Ooh,
Yeesh.
hard hits for both. Boy, that almost looked like Gunnarsson didn't even turn in.
I don't think he did.
Here it is again. It's almost as if he was still swinging out to try to get an arc into the corner.
Either way, that, that's a thank God this is a simulator moment, because that surely would have been a concussion protocol crash.
It's right on board with Jonas Gunnarsson. Went straight to pit road after this, by the way. On board with Gunnarsson. Oh. Didn't look quite that way. And the onboard shot will go again from Gunnarsson. Boy, the onboard shot, it looks like they both just kind of moved into each other. Gunnarsson was trying to arc it, and Helmbro was trying to come down into the corner. Right on board here.
Helmbro wasn't giving him any more room than he absolutely had to. And we're getting to that point in the race, Frank. I mean, we're fast approaching 10 to go.
Everybody down pit road. Eric Blixt wins the race off of pit road. Tony Oivinen came down pit road just before the caution came out. So Oivinen has that strategy work for him. And Bjorn Broström, who we saw come into pit on lap 69, currently your race leader.
However,
However,
look at who's behind those two.
Yeah, Fresh Tires is not far away, as Eric Blixt will be lining up on the inside of Road 2, with Daniel Solo lining up on the outside of Road 2.
Looks like Blix took 2, and Solo took fuel only. If I'm looking at the pit box times, everybody else from Jesper Eriksson on back in 5th all took their final set. Well, the good news is you can make it from here.
Yeah, to say the very least. As we are at 12 laps to go here from Pocono. 10 to go now.
Oh, we're going to get a 10-lap shootout. Well, it's going to be 10 to go when we get the green, so it's going to be a 10-lap shootout to settle this thing. And Frank, I think we're going into overtime. You know, it's just the feeling that I've got right now. I hope they prove me wrong, and I will freely admit if they do end up proving me wrong. But I have a feeling, it's a gut feeling, that we're going into overtime tonight.
It's the 53 of Sebastian Broberg falling through the middle of the field down, trying to get to the back. As it will be 10 laps to go. Second to last race of the season before we hit the playoffs. Right now, Jesper Eriksson, Linus Broström, Michael Haflidason, Daniel Solo, Eric Blixt, Alexander Arildsson, Peter Helmbro have locked themselves into the championship via win. Jonas Gunnarsson, Oscar Fredriksson, Daniel Holmer, and to be fair, I would have to say Andre Solander have locked themselves in via points. So there's only a couple more spots to fight for when we go to Talladega next week to cut the championship from the entirety of the field down to 15.
And of all the races to do it at, they picked the biggest wild card race of them all.
Absolutely. Getting set to go back to green flag racing. Bjorn Broström out in front. Tony Oivinen on the outside of row number 1. Green flag back in the air, racing with 10 to go here at Pocono.
Broström drops the hammer. He's going to get the advantage going into one as Oivinen under heavy pressure from those two Lolos behind him and Homer Blake and Solo. Everybody minding their P's and Q's. They want to get these last 10 laps in. We're almost 3 wide coming off of 1.
Bjorn Broström holding that inside line fairly well, as is Tony Oivinen. Daniel Solo now starting to push Oivinen out to a little bit of an advantage on that high line. Oivinen gets clear, as does Daniel Solo. 84-13, 1 and 2 with Henrik Lindhoff, who started 6th, up to 3rd. And looking for second.
And don't count out Alexander Arildsson. He's still within striking distance right now. Could we possibly see the first time this season somebody wins the sprint race and the feature?
Arildsson running in 4th behind Henrik Lindhoff. Lindhoff right now getting a very good push from that number 24. That'll get him clear of the 13. Arildsson pushes into that 13. That opens the door for Jesper Eriksson to get up into 4th.
And that is not what anybody wanted to see, with Eriksson getting a good run, and he's got a clean shot to get to the front of this piece.
Eriksson looking for his 4th win of the season. He's just 3 spots and 8 laps away from doing so. Oivinen looking for his first, as is Lindhoff looking for his first in just his 3rd race. Solo looking for his second.
Still a lot of racing left to do here. We're going to get 8 to go this time across the stripe. Indy Snake back in full effect for the front half of the field. Back half's going, yep, go ahead. We're just going to stay here.
Tony Oivinen, to be fair to this 84 car, Oivinen was very, very good when he was out in clean air earlier on, even on older tires, as Jesper Eriksson pounded the wall coming out of turn 1.
That stacked him up.
Allows Eric Blixt by as well. Blixt into 4th. Arieldsson looking to the inside, but Haflidason got there first. Haflidason and Arieldsson both make contact, both stay out of the wall, and that sends Andre Solander scattering.
Solander was just along for the ride at that point, as I don't think the 824 knew where he was going, let alone where anybody else was going to go. And here comes Linus Broström.
I was going to say, where in the world did Linus Broström come from running up in 9th? It's the highest he's been by far all day long.
I think he would be happy with the top 10 after the night he's had so far.
Henrik Lindhoff has gotten past, or stayed ahead, I should say, of Daniel Solo, has closed the gap to Tony Oivinen and just set the fastest lap of the race at a 53.83. That 8 is quick right now.
Everybody in the top 4 just went sub 54 seconds.
And Oivinen,
tell me these guys aren't getting it.
I think Oivinen just caught the wall coming out of turn 2, which is certainly going to hurt him, as here comes Lindhoff to the inside in that number 8. Just his 3rd start this season, his first since the middle of November. Lindhoff out to the race lead.
And they're going to be 3 wide when they get to turn 1.
Solo in the middle, Oivinen on the outside. Lindhoff will keep the spot, at least for the moment, but here comes Solo charging through the middle. Daniel Solo up to the front.
Daniel Solo with a gut punch coming down the front chute, gets it wrestled away, going out of 1. Now down the Long Pond straightaway and into the tunnel turn. Here comes the 8 of Lindhoff. Oivinen lifts, lets him go, and here comes Blixt and Eriksson.
Lindhoff not letting this go. Again, Lindhoff has not finished higher than 30th. He's only participated in 2 races this season, this being his 3rd. 34th at Daytona, 30th at Phoenix.
Still neck and neck as Solo and Lindhoff not giving an inch to each other, as we're going to be 3 wide again going into 1.
It's Eriksson in the middle with Blixt on the outside. It's the 81 of Michael Haflidason on the inside. Eriksson not giving Haflidason a lot of room to work, as Solo still managing to stay out in front.
Oh, you're still staying out in front. How are they staying off of each other?
There goes Eriksson to the inside of Oivinen now for 3rd. Eriksson has dominated this race.
Oivinen, though, hanging tough on that outside lane, coming through the tunnel turn. Not giving an inch. There's a beating and banging going into 3.
Oivinen's got the power line. He's got the preferred line. Just has to keep the 37 from clearing him, and does just that as Eric Blixt catches the wall coming out of turn 3. Solo starting to edge ahead of Lindhoff, trying to close the door. Couldn't quite do it. Lindhoff still has the run on the bottom.
Lindhoff's going to send it going into 1. They're side by side behind him with Eriksson and Oivinen still running door to door. And then the 2 Volvos behind them as they're leaning on each other. Lindhoff and Solo. Solo into the wall coming off of 1.
Just barely missed it if he didn't touch it. Oivinen, Eriksson, down Long Pond side by side. Alexander Arieldsson still in this mix. The top 9 are all side by side as Oivinen gets into the back of the 13, and that will send Oivinen around. Caution is out, a hard hit for Peter Helmbro as well.
Jeepers.
Boy, Oivinen really went for it there.
I can't blame a guy for trying. I mean, that was a hell of a performance we were seeing out of the top group. It's just, oops.
Let's take a look back a little bit here. We'll go from above. Where was it? I was just about to click it and I lost. There it is. Solo coming down Long Pond. Look at the run the 84 is going to get here. Such a good run. Blixt following through. A little bit of a touch there right into the braking zone. 84 catches the corner. That backs him off. And then around goes Oivonen.
Right off the nose of the 81.
Get a better look at that. See, Michael Haflidason, he's the one that, as Tony just said, is the one that spun him. And then around goes Oivonen. And then Helmbro guessed, and unfortunately guessed wrong. Second really hard hit of the night as well for Helmbro.
I'm surprised he's lasted this long with that first shot that he took.
On board with Helmbro. Almost. Fortunately, didn't get hit by anyone as he came back up the racetrack as well.
And it is official, Frank. We are going into overtime. 3 possible attempts at a green-white checker finish.
So there we go. Fell a couple laps short of a natural green-white checkered. As Tony just said, first of 3 coming up right now. Lindhoff and Eriksson will be the front row. Solo and Blixt, row 2. Row 3 will go to Haflidason and Solander with Arildsson, Fredriksson 4. Brostrom and Jonas Skoglund. He's found his way up here to the front at the very end of this race, making up row number 5. There are a lot, though, of Alcantech cars right behind these first 2 Force cars.
And they are. And, the thing is, you've got to wonder what's going on in that team chatter right now with those Force Esports cars. Lindhoff looking to get his best finish of the season, possibly could win this thing. Eriksson set fast time in practice, set quick time in qualifying, and has led a good portion of tonight's race. He would like to get his 3rd victory on the season. But Solo, Blixt, and Haflidason right behind them, they're looking to get a breakthrough tonight as well. And, it's all about that big momentum going into the playoffs in a couple of weeks.
Caution number 6 of the evening. 5th for incident. Remember, we had the stage break at lap 35 that was won by Jesper Eriksson, pardon me. Alexander Arildsson winning the sprint race earlier tonight. As we get set to go again. Green-white checkered finish, as Tony mentioned before, the first of 3 attempts that this series will get. Talladega in 2 weeks' time for these Cup cars. Then after that, it is the playoffs. Vegas, Richmond, the first round. Auto Club Dover, round number 2. And then ending on May 11th at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 6 races left to go here in this series. And again, this series running every other week, which is why it takes us out until May. Next week for the Svenska eRacingligan, it will be an hour and 40 minutes at Road America in the LMP2s.
Last week we saw that division make its debut here on Thursdays, and if week 1 is any indication, week 2 is going to be just a monster next week, Frank.
Yep, and while Alcantech and Force Esports have had their run of success in this series. Bright Esports was by far and away the dominant force last week in the LMP2s. So a changing of the guard possibly as far as domination is concerned. Getting set for attempt number 1 at the green-white checkered finish. Green flag in the air with Henrik Lindhoff out in front.
Lindhoff pulls the trigger. Eriksson goes with him. Eriksson trying to get up through the gears as Lindhoff goes up to cut Eriksson off. Eriksson looks to the inside, trying to get some clean air to the front of that car. Here comes Solo on the top shelf.
Daniel Solo with help from Eric Blixt on that high side. Solo not quite able to keep that high line over Jesper Eriksson.
All they've got to do is last another half a lap and we will be racing back to checkers. Right now, though, here comes the 24 of Haflidason.
Nope, caution's coming out. I heard it in the background. There's the 12 in the wall. Somebody around backwards.
Eric Lundberg around backwards.
It's Eric Lundberg in the 18. Doesn't appear to be too much damage on that 18.
He's smoking badly.
Take a look and see what happened here with Lundberg. There's 12. Oh, the 111 of Bratberg dove right in on the 83. The 18 just had nowhere to go.
And he has Bluetooth suspension somewhere in that car.
Take a ride on board here. We saw it. Haflidi Johansson is who we're on board with. There's the incident. Haflidi goes right up to... Oh, he got pushed up there. I thought he went up a wall road to try to avoid that. But no, he got a little bit of help. Let's see who pushed Johansson up there. That's Philip Carlin in the 22. And it was Philip Carlin in the 22 that pushed him up there. Helped him out, though. Got him around the big part of the incident.
Yep.
So this will be attempt number 2 at the green-white checkered finish. And
now,
Alex, go ahead.
We do need to touch base on what would happen if we don't get a checker on the 3 attempts. If on the 3rd attempt we do not get this race to its conclusion by the leader accepting the white flag and racing back to the checkers, field frozen, race over at the moment of the caution.
The race will end under caution.
But let's hope it doesn't get to that.
We still have 2 more attempts at this. Alexander Arildsson, who started in 7th in that last restart, was able to pluck off 2 of those 4 Alcantech cars. He was able to get Andre Solander, and he was able to get Michael Haflidason. And he was starting to make a move on Eric Blixt when the caution came out. As we see, I believe Sebastian Broberg has just gotten back on the lead lap. Congratulations to him. He was 5 laps down at one point earlier on.
2 consecutive lucky dogs. Hey, take him how you can get him. You know, he got caught up in that early melee that brought out the first caution, and you know, struggled with it, stayed with it, slugged at it. Now he's back on the lead lap, and hey, anything can happen here in 3 laps.
I was off a 10th place starting spot as well for the 53, so he's had pace. He's just been stuck multiple laps down the entirety of the night. As we get set to begin green-white checkered attempt number 2. at, I would say, the conclusion of the next lap.
Yeah, lights should be going out this time.
Yes. And they will. So we'll get attempt number 2 underway. Lindhoff, Eriksson, Solo, Blixt, Arildson, Haflidason, Selander, Fredriksson, Linus Broström, and Bratberg, your top 10.
And you still have a couple of guys that were involved in that little fracas there that brought this caution out. Not that far behind.
Well, Marcus Hagman didn't really lose too many spots. He's going to be in 11th, just outside of the top 10.
But as we saw last night in the race that we had at Daytona, Frank, you can have damage. It won't register on the car as being visible, but it'll really mess your speed up.
Absolutely. If you were there to watch the debut of SRM Racing, my attempt at the very first split of the NIS Daytona 500. Solid race, lasted a heck of a lot longer than I thought we were going to. And a pretty wild finish at the end. Take a look at that broadcast from yesterday to figure out how it went. As a long old race that was. But
have your shoulders recovered yet?
Not really. We're waiting on Lindhoff and Eriksson to round turn number 3. Bring this field down. Boy, they are really low. On this front straightaway, opens the outside line up on Eriksson at least. Green flag back in the air. Way to the outside goes Lindhoff, and then all the way out to the wall he goes. Look at Alexander Arildson take the jump up into 3rd spot, or trying to at least, as Lindhoff has to block off Solo on the inside. Now moves to the outside for Eriksson.
Solo leading on Eriksson right now. Drag race down the back chute. Eriksson has the advantage of the draft off Lindhoff as those 3-4 Z Sports cars lined up. You've got 3 Alcantechs to their inside.
Boy.
Oh,
very, very
mod
close
on.
between Solo and Arildson, as Lindhoff and Eriksson now going out to battle. White flag in the air, 1 more lap to go here for Pocono. Lindhoff breaking the draft as best he can.
We are racing back to checkers as Lindhoff and Eriksson trying to figure out what they've got to do to get away from those Alcantech cars, just racing out between the two of them. What does Eriksson have up his sleeve for his esports teammate? As Solo has gotten to the inside of Arildson. Arildson battles back though. Indy Snake down the long pond straightaway now.
Henrik Lindhoff trying to keep that number 37 in check. It has actually pulled out quite a bit of distance. Solo getting pushed by Eric Blixt, trying to get up into that 3rd spot, really leaning on Alexander Arildson. But right now the battle is for the race win. Henrik Lindhoff and Jesper Eriksson. Eriksson has 3 wins, including last week. He's not going to get this one. Henrik Lindhoff coming off of turn number 3. He will win here at Pocono.
Problems in the back. That's the 32 of Philip Carlin going around. Henrik Lindhoff winning the race. Jesper Eriksson, Alexander Arildson, Michael Haflidason, and Eric Blix rounding out your top 5. What a run by Lindhoff. He turned the wick up when he needed to, and the only laps he led tonight, Frank, were the final 10.
And for Lindhoff, I do believe, I don't remember what the number is, but there is a minimum race requirement in order to make the playoffs, and with only now 3 races under his belt, I do not believe Lindhoff will make that minimum requirement.
Correct, he doesn't have it.
So in the overall scheme of things, it is a win for Lindhoff and nothing more. Fours, 1, 2, 3, Lindhoff, Eriksson, Arielson. Your top 3 finishers here tonight. What a run, what a run, what a run. And Tony, I believe you are with our race winner as we speak.
As he finishes doing his burnouts, Henrik Lindhoff, congratulations on winning here in Pocono.
Thank you. Wow, what a race.
You and Eriksson were going after each other in those closing laps, and I know Forza Esports pretty much has the same rules that we over here at SRM Racing have, is don't kill each other.
Yeah.
Was there any... Talk us through that final restart. What caused you to go so low coming to the final green flag?
Well, I needed to break the draft immediately and try to do so, and then it was really just to focus on the exits. I mean, really keeping the speed out of the corners to maintain the speed and the gap. I knew that it was going to be close, but and a bit of weaving on the straight, of course, to break the draft. But it was a good race.
Well, it was the snake that you did going down the long pond straightaway on the white flag lap that really gave you that cushion that you needed to go through turn 3 with confidence, is what it looked like.
Yeah. I mean, I went actually pretty easy on the entries to the corners, just to really make sure that the exits were good. So and it held all the way through. So I'm really happy for that. It was a long time since I did a race in this series, and also a long time since I won here. So that's nice.
Hendrik, any chance you're going to be back in 2 weeks at Talladega?
Yeah, I think so. I believe that the last couple of tracks here is something that I will join. So it's fun. It's fun to do this. It's more of a entertaining thing than maybe a competition, but it seems to work out pretty well, anyways.
Who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate this victory with your team?
Well, it's the team, really. I think we have a lot of fun driving these sorts of races and practice and everything, and also to the sponsors of the team, of course. Mobby, he'll be a lot, but them I definitely want to thank.
Henrik Lindhoff, congratulations. We will see you in 2 weeks at Talladega.
Absolutely.
And Frank, I believe you've got the man who he just edged out for the victory with you now.
I do. Jesper Eriksson, you certainly had a strong run here tonight, picked up right where you left off last week at Charlotte. What are your thoughts going through the end of this race, trying to get past your teammate?
It was an awesome race from start to finish. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this track. It's one of my favorite ovals on the calendar, and this race was just awesome from start to finish. I felt like I had control in the beginning, just going through it, comfortable in the lead, and just comfortable being on track, to be honest. I think I was the fastest car on track for a while during the first, I think stage 1, and through all of the final stage, I probably was one of the fastest all time. I really enjoyed it. And congrats to Henrik. He came from nowhere and grabbed the W, which he deserves. Those 2 last laps were absolutely amazing from him. Damn.
Now, we go to Talladega next week. It is the last race before the playoffs. Naturally, you being the points leader coming into this race and coming out of it as well. 3 race wins. You've got absolutely nothing to lose at Talladega. What is the game plan? What is the mindset, knowing that no matter where you finish next 2 weeks, there's really no effect for you?
To be honest, next race is kind of chill race for me. I'm not gonna focus on the victory myself, so I'm gonna help my teammates who hasn't won a race yet or isn't locked into the playoffs. So I'm gonna try to push them with the other teammates and trying to get them a win and secure as many of our teammates in the playoffs as possible, and not really focus on myself.
Well, there you go. The ultimate team player, Jesper Eriksson. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Of course, the whole team is an amazing team to have behind and support through all the strategy and just through everything. And the sponsors, Mobby Hyrbilar and Kappa Bar, for sponsoring and making the car look as epic as it does.
All right, bud. Your second place finisher here tonight, Jesper Eriksson. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And Tony, that will leave the last of the 4Z Sports 1, 2, 3. Alexander Arieldsson with you.
Alexander Arieldsson won the sprint race, led a good portion of the main event, just came up just a tick short. Talk us through the beating and banging that was going on those last couple of green-white checker finishes.
Yeah, that was definitely an exciting finish to the race. The last two restarts there, with me having to fight it out with the Alcantech guys, while my two teammates up front were fighting each other. So I had no draft on a straightaway, so I had to to make do on my own there on the outside with I think it was Solo and Blixt or Haflidason who were drafting there on the inside, but I managed to beat them off. There was quite a bit of door banging, I think, on those last two laps, but we all made it through and managed to finish third. So that was a good finish.
All things considered, you can't be too disappointed with a podium finish at one of the tougher tracks that we are going to see all season.
No, definitely not. It's one of my worst tracks as well. The one I liked the least. So it was a good finish to finish third. Good points. Although I only managed to think 1 point at the stage, which was a disappointment as I'm fighting mainly Blixt and Solo there for in the regular season.
Well, moving into next week, we go to Talladega. What are your thoughts going into the final race of the regular season? Well,
it's Talladega, so anything can happen. But I'm looking forward to it. I like super speedway racing. So hopefully we can get a good result for C Sports.
Alexander, congratulations on a podium. Who do you need to thank before we let you go?
Well, I want to thank all of my teammates at 4C Sports and all our partners, Mobby Hyrbilar and Kappa Bar.
Alexander Arieldsson, congratulations. We will see you next week at Talladega.
Thank you.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Sorry about that. And Frank, that puts another one in the books for us, my friend.
Yep, that it does, and what a fantastic race here at Pocono that we were treated to, especially that last dozen or so laps, just absolutely fantastic from all ends of these drivers.
All night long, we were seeing good action throughout the entirety of this field. There were a couple of times during the green flag pit stop cycle that, everybody got a little stretched out, a little bit separated. But all night long, there were pockets of racing. I don't think we could have ever asked for a better race than what we saw here tonight with the Svenska eRacingligan Cup Series here at Pocono.
Absolutely, and especially going into the final race of the regular season next week at Talladega, or next time out, I should say, at Talladega, should be quite entertaining. As we will now take a look at the results here for tonight's race. Henrik Lindhoff once again taking the race win. Jesper Eriksson, Alexander Arieldsson, which, by the way, again, Arieldsson, we spoke about it during the caution flags, but Arieldsson started behind all four of those Alcantech cars at the first green-white checkered. He finishes ahead of all four of them by the end of the race. A great run from that number 24. Michael Haflidason, Eric Blix round out the top five. Daniel Solo, Andre Solander, Anton Bratberg, the highest running of the superior cars here tonight, finishes in 8th. Linus Brostrom with a great recovery drive up into 9th. Anton Ehrman rounding out the top 10. Jonas Forrest, Marcus Stiller, Bjorn Brostrom, Marcus Hagman and Jonas Skoglund, the top 15.
Robert Erling, Stefan Wang, Tony Oivonen, Daniel Homer, and Kenneth Tier running out your top 20. Dennis Scherp, Haflidason Johansson, Martin Liesnik, Sebastian Broberg, Connie Lundell rounding out your top 25. Oscar Fredrickson, Phil Carlin, Peter Helmbro, Jonas Gunnarsson, and Eric Lundberg, your top 30. Philip Broberg, Kim Nylom, Johan Larson, and Hakan Wet rounding out the field of 34 starters.
Yep, and those bottom four not finishing this race here tonight. We'll take a look at the sprint race finishing order, as we always do. Alexander Arildsson coming the closest thus far this season to winning both the sprint race and the main race. Haflidason Johansson, Stefan Wang, Kim Nyholm, Linus Broström, your top 5. Martin Liesnich, Marcus Stiller, Jonas Forrest, Daniel Homer, and Connie Lundell, your top 10. Kenneth Tier, Anton Ehrman, Jonas Skoglund, and Johan Larsson rounding out the sprint race results. So for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We will see you next week, from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, for the LMP2 series of the Svenska eRacingligan. And then in 2 weeks' time, we head to Talladega Superspeedway to find out who the 15 drivers making the playoffs will be. We will see you next week. Good night, everybody.